Welcome back for the second segment of the February 10th Trips and Traps. Andy Serling, Eric Donovan.
3 more races to bring you. We'll start off by going to February 5th. We're looking at race number 3 here. We're interested in the 2 Layla Ben and the 5 Eager Emma.
It feels like a conscious effort was made here, and it was a mistake. But it's easy to say things in retrospect. The 5 is Eager Emma on the outside. Inside, right here, is Layla Ben. Layla Ben, I think to many of us, was the speed of the speed in this race, and she was just taken completely out of the race, and you almost think it was an attempt to teach her to rate. It failed.
Yeah, very surprised, on a wet track that they would try to do something like this. I mean, you see Layla Ben kind of throwing her head around a little bit, after the start there, just wanting to go on with it. But, she did manage to settle into position here, but still, the way the race is run, the 4 Spa City Princess makes the lead and is going to stay there throughout the race. Well, that could have been Layla Ben's spot.
Right. It's one thing. Eager Emma's out here. Layla Ben's back here. Eager Emma is there. It's worth knowing the one horse, the heavy favorite in this race, did not run a single step in here, and that's, of course, Big Brownie. She just didn't handle the track. In the context of the race, and I know Eric agrees with this, Eager Emma ran the best race because she was outside in no man's land behind the slow pace. You want to teach a horse to rate when there's an abundance of speed in the race, not when there's none.
Yeah, and I don't know that you want to teach them to rate over a wet track also. Right. I mean, I think there's a time and a place for everything. And, when you're the inside speed on a wet track in the middle of the winter, you're supposed to be forwardly placed. Anyway, here goes Eager Emma with the outside 3-wide movement here. Just not really a good setup for Eager Emma, who's going to stay on in this race, finish second, only get beat a half length.
Right, here's Layla Ben back here, and there's Eager Emma. Now, if this was a race with a quick pace on a fair racetrack, you would say this was a terrific ride by David Cohen. He got her to settle. She was in the right position. I don't blame David Cohen at all in this situation unless he took it upon himself to rate her. And we're not trying to criticize per se, but it was a plan, whoever decided, that just was the wrong time, the wrong place, and didn't work at all.
25 and 2, 15 and 4, 16 and 1 the fractions for this race, so obviously you didn't want to be too far off the lead. And here in Spa City Princess underneath Jorge Chavez going to dig in and hold off Eager Emma, and these two, all separate about 7 lengths back to the third finisher, who is Layla Ben.
And Spa City Princess is a nice horse, but make no mistake, she wasn't the best horse in this race. Eager Emma ran a better race, and it would have been interesting. It's nice to have a parallel universe, and how would this race have looked had Layla Ben gone to the lead? Hey, maybe there would have been more of a pace, and Eager Emma would have won. The way she ran, she might have won, but it would have been a different result, I think.
All right, next race we'll take a look at is the 8th race from this day, the February 5th, and it's the WHIRLAWAY.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to look at the feature. We like to look at features and thought this was an interesting one. Down on the inside, you have the eventual winner in here, Toby's Corner, Arthur's Tail outside of him, and the 6th horse, all the way outside, JJ's Lucky Train. I know JJ's Lucky Train's now finished second in the Count Fleet and WHIRLAWAY. I know he's not going to win the Kentucky Derby or the Haskell or the Travers, but you know what? He's a darn good 3-year-old and a lesser on the second tier. This is a horse in the right spots that's going to win some races and make money.
Yeah, I thought the JJ's Lucky Train kind of was in a tough spot early on beneath Jose Ferrer, and you see JJ's Lucky Train clear off now as they're more than halfway around the first turn there to go to the lead. Coming into the turn there, he was sitting right off of the 5-horse there that was Preaching the Devil. It looked like he could have just tried to maybe take a little bit of a hold and relax here. Can't really say it was the wrong thing to do, but I would have liked to see what JJ's Lucky Train would have been able to do, sitting just a little bit off Preaching the Devil here, because he's going to run well all the way on the lead. Go pretty quick fractions for the opening quarter, 23 and 2, 48 and 4 for the half mile. And, stays on gamely here, but just gets beat by a horse who got a better trip.
Yeah, and the back is the winner, and the winner gets the perfect ride. Waits, Eddie Castro waits. Arthur Tail, not such a perfect ride. Doesn't wait. JJ's Lucky Train, I hear what Eric's saying. I don't know, I think you danced with the girl that brought you there. I understand what you're saying, and in retrospect, I think you're right. And I don't think the connections would argue with you, but I think they were trying to do, you're making split-second decisions. You're looking at Preach the Devil. It was actually, even though, and the rider rode Preach the Devil well in this race, he did the right thing. He made JJ's Lucky Train run faster than he wanted to early. Look at the paces that day. Saved the 6th race with the wicked pace. This was a tremendously fast pace. JJ's Lucky Train's already in a drive here, and he loses a tough race to the horse who's won 3 straight races in here, Toby's Corner, whose rider makes the last move.
And Toby's Corner sets the right kind of trip in here, and you'll see Arthur's Tail toward the outside and failing back.
Yeah, Arthur's Tail needs to get either... I think he needs to just sit back and try to make one run. I don't know that he's that good, but he hasn't had a fair ride or chance his last 2. Toby's Corner takes advantage of situations, not trying to be too hard on him. But I'm sorry, I come out of this race the same way I come out of the Count Fleet. The best horse in here is JJ's Lucky Train, and I'm starting to feel bad for this horse because he's run too well and too hard in his last 2 races to lose both of them, and he's a nice horse.
Kind of reminds me a little bit. We were talking yesterday about Fleet Again, the horse last year, who ran admirably well in a lot of these races throughout the winter, and did well throughout the rest of the year. A horse that maybe a little bit below the top level, obviously, but one that's a useful horse and will win some money.
JJ's Lucky Train is going to have his day. He just needs to not be too ambitiously placed. I can understand the connections should and probably will and should try a race like the Gotham with him. We'll see how tough that race comes up. He's a gritty horse. I like him.
All right, one more race to bring you. We'll go to Sunday, February 6th, race number 7. The 7-horse Divine Child coming in from the 8-horse Divine Child coming in from California here, the heavy favorite, also interested in the 295 South.
Much more interested in 95 South effort. In contrast, 95 South on top. A couple lengths slow there for Divine Child. Now, Divine Child was ridiculously overbet, especially in a kind of race in a wet racetrack, horse coming from California, and a horse that, while obviously the horse to beat going in, a horse that both Eric and I thought was a little bit dressed up, coming out of a perfect trip race in California against subpar horses, and a lot's going to be made out of breaking slowly and making this late run on the sloppy track. I think he's burning money down the road again.
I agree. I thought just looking at what he did in California, he stake-faced, he got an easy trip, as you said, in that $50,000 claiming win that he had out there, going 7 furlongs too, and now this race here, getting left at the start and going to make this move to finish third in here, getting beat only 3 3/4 lengths, going to take some money again, obviously, for Engelhart. We'll see who the jockey is this time.
Yeah, we're going to get him to come in the stretch. Now, the important thing to note here is 95 South. He just gets in a complete jackpot. Ramon has finally gotten into the picture with Divine Child. I don't think he makes a particularly impressive run. The winner gets a clear run here on the outside, while David Cohen gets himself completely stymied down on the inside on the 295 South. 95 South's the best horse in this race, and he should have won this race. And had he gotten a clean outside trip, and I understand David put him in the right spot to put him to, he got unlucky in this situation. I do wish sometimes he'd give himself a second option, but you can't be too critical here. He makes the run at the end. He was the best horse. Divine Child, I don't know. It felt like he was just picking up tired horses.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely want 95 South next time out. A horse that they tried to actually go long last time out, ran into Congo, decent allowance horse now, and then drop back in for 6 furlongs here. I think this is his best game going sprinting.
Yeah, my only problem is he was the turnback in this race, and I like to bet him as the turnback. Next time, we'll see what happens. It's a good and bad situation. But coming out of this race, 95 South should have won the race. Divine Child is the one that I think is a trap going forward. We'll see what you think of the trips and traps. Let us know. Trips and traps at NYRAinc.com.
Thanks for watching.